Welcome back to GrantMe. This is our second University of Victoria video that is part of our Ultimate University Guide series. We finished our SFU and UBC series, and as well the first video in our UVic series is now out, so make sure you go check those out. Now, what exactly is the Ultimate University Guide series? Well, it's where we focus on the top 20 universities across Canada and give you tips about how to get in, what the campus is like, and lots more. But in today's video, we'll be talking specifically about how to apply for the University of Victoria. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with our entire series. Let's just get a brief rundown on what the University of Victoria is before we begin the main part of our video. So UVic is one of Canada's leading research-intensive universities, and it offers over 100 degrees, certificates, and diplomas for students straight out of high school or for those who are transferring from university. And it also has 160 graduate programs, which gives it a reputation of quality and innovation that's respected right around the world. With many options, I'm sure that you'll be able to find the right fit at UVic. In today's video in particular, we'll be talking about the various steps that are necessary to applying to the University of Victoria, such as choosing your program, submitting your application on time, your application fees and confirmations, submitting your intern grades, and all that. So we'll be covering everything that is necessary to apply for the University of Victoria. So let's start and get right into it. So step one is choosing your program. Your first step is to choose a program to apply for, obviously, and you can explore these programs at the University of Victoria through their website. You can find the program you're most interested in through their keyword search functions or by sorting through interests, programs, or faculties. So UVic currently has 10 faculties to choose from. There is business, continuing studies, education, engineering/computer science, fine arts, human and social development, humanities, law, science, and social studies. So there's a huge variety all across the board of different faculties that you'll have available to you. And once you find a program within these faculties that interests you, you can then move on to the next step of the application process. But make sure that obviously you meet the minimum admission and language requirements for the program you've selected. As I said in our last video, if you watched it, different programs do have at times different admission requirements, and you'll find these on your individual program pages, so make sure you check those out before you apply. Let's move on to step two. Step two is obviously to submit your application, and you have to keep in mind your application deadlines and your supplemental applications. So depending on your entry time, obviously you'll be having different deadlines in mind. So if you are planning on applying in the fall or September term when all undergraduate programs are available, you have to make sure that your online application is submitted by January 31st at the latest. If you are applying for the January term, then your applications will close around September. And if you are applying for summer entry, then you must submit your online application by March 31st. And you also need to keep in mind supplemental applications. So in addition to your online application, there are some programs that will require you to submit supplemental information, and the deadlines of documents and the content of these vary from program to program. It depends on what you're applying for. So this can range from essays about why you'll be a good fit for UVic or the program you're applying to, or even a portfolio expressing your experience and qualifications for the program. So for example, if you're doing something business related, they might give you additional supplemental essays or an interview to do, whereas if you're entering something like music, they might want you to do an online audition instead. So it really varies depending from application to application. When it comes to writing a supplemental application, this is where many students find themselves in deadlock. Many of them might not be used to doing something like this, or they might find it extremely nerve-wracking, but don't worry, this is where services such as GrantMe come in. So I was a GrantMe student myself. When I entered kind of like the university world of applications, I was not sure about what to do at all, but GrantMe really provided me with a lot of knowledge and confidence in the process because they taught me about how it worked. They made me aware of all the deadlines and how the process was, and they also helped me in enhancing my supplemental applications, which was great help. So GrantMe offers essay editing services. They give you advice on what makes your essay compelling and successful, and the main point they drilled into me was something called the STAR method, and I'm going to share this with you because I think it's really important. So the STAR method is how you should deliver your points in your essays to make it in a way that is convincing and compelling to the committee. So STAR stands is basically an acronym. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. So basically, with the situation, you're talking about what happened. What was the problem that you were facing, or the organization you were working with facing? And then task, what was the task you were given? What was your goal or your objective in the position that you had? And then you move on to action, which is the most important part. This is where you'll spend the most amount of time on in terms of your application, and it's where you talk about the steps that you took to achieve this task or to fix the situation. And this is a great way to show your many leadership skills or your initiative and all that. So this is one of the most important parts of this application. And then you end it off with results. So at the end of everything, with the issues you faced, with the objective or task you were given, and with all the action you took, what was the final result and what were you able to achieve? And this shows that your actions legitimately had a positive benefit. There's no point in just writing about I did this and I did this if you don't have the results to back up your action. So utilizing something like the STAR method is really the best way to get your point across. I used it a lot in my essays. Every time I would forget to, the essay editors would tell me to do it, and at the end I was able to create really compelling and successful essays, whether it be for my scholarships or admissions, that really got me places. So I would highly recommend, if you're really nervous about your supplemental application, to consider using GrantMe services just to give you that extra boost. Congratulations, you just finished your application form and your supplemental application. So what's next after that? Well, it's a way easier step. You've gotten the hard part done over. It's the application fees and confirmations, which is your step 2. So when you submit your application, you will always be charged an application fee, and your application will not be processed until this payment has been received. So make sure you get it in as soon as possible. If your transcript comes from an institution within Canada, your application fee will be $79.25. But if your transcript comes from outside Canada, your application fee will sadly be slightly more expensive at $137. And after you submit your application, make sure you get the following 2 emails from UVic. Number 1 should be your confirmation email that contains your University of Victoria student number, and email number 2 should be an introductory email from your admission assistant with their contact information. Now, once you receive your introductory email, you will also receive access to the admission portal, and that way you can view the status of your admission and a checklist of tasks that you still need to complete. So make sure you log into the portal from time to time to make sure there are no outstanding tasks and to check the status of your application. Alright, after we're done step 2, we're moving on to step 3, which is slightly more confusing, but don't worry, it's nothing too bad. This is where you submit your interim grades and you start applying for your UVic scholarship. So after you've submitted your application, you will need to provide the school with your grades. If you are a current grade 12 student at a Canadian high school, which includes offshore and IB schools, you must self-report your interim/final grade 11 and 12 marks or your predicted IB grades through your UVic application. Self-reporting will open up on February 15 and closes on March 15, and you will only be able to access this self-reporting section after you receive one of the introductory emails we talked about in the previous section, and that is the introductory email from your admission assistant. So make sure you have that email, because without it, you will not be able to access the self-reporting section. Keep in mind, you can only report your grades once, so make sure you wait until you're confident that you know how your midterm grades will be, or you feel like you can provide a reasonable estimate of your final grade. So you have one shot, so make sure that you're confident about the grades you'll receive at the end before you start submitting them. If you're not in Canada and you're studying at an international high school, you can simply just upload your in-progress transcript showing your grades or your predicted IB scores to your application. And if you're currently studying at a college or university, just upload your interim grades or your predicted exam results to your UVic application. After you've finalized your application and uploaded your interim grades, then you can start applying to UVic scholarships. Now let's talk scholarships. So after you're done your application, it's the perfect time to start applying for these. For many people, including myself, going to Canadian University is extremely expensive. So for example, if you are a Canadian citizen attending the undergrad humanities program at the University of Victoria, your first year tuition will be $6,780. But don't worry, there are many ways to lower your tuition cost, and the best way to do this is through scholarships. And now, scholarships are basically just a part of your grade 12 life. Everybody's applying for them, but not many people are aware of exactly what these committees are looking for or how they can write a successful scholarship application. And once again, this is where GrantMe services really shine through. GrantMe provides essay editing services, one-on-one mentorship, and they also provide you with many toolkits and webinars and workshops in order to further develop your application writing skills. So if you're really nervous about the scholarship process, or you want more knowledge on it, or you just want to boost in terms of your writing, then I would highly suggest that you consider GrantMe. I was a student of theirs and I used it last year, and thanks to them I was able to consistently put out high quality applications, because once you get an application done, it's just a simple matter of copying and pasting and then tailoring it. And GrantMe services were really good in terms of editing my applications to make them better than they already were, because personally writing was not really my strong suit. So just knowing that there was an expert helping go over my work and provide me with excellent feedback and suggestion really made the process easier. So I would highly recommend this for people who are planning on applying for a bunch of scholarships. That's the end of video 2 of this series, and I would like to thank you all for watching. GrantMe is really excited to be continuing to help our students get into UVic. We have many services such as essay editing, one-on-one coaching, tutoring, and mentorship. And so as always, if you haven't already, I'd highly recommend you go to the description below. You take our admissions eligibility quiz, and that way you can get a glimpse at what your chances are in getting into your top school. But that will be the end of today's video. I hope to see you in the next one, and thanks for watching.